Howdy, hey, hello, it's McKenna, and this is Munch and Mingle. Y'all, welcome to date night. Date night is here with the one, the only, Britton Hogan.
It is me.
I'm so grateful to have you back on again. It was a little hard, though. I was getting out all the gear. I was like, oh, I haven't done this in a second.
Just do it by yourself.
Yes, but we're very grateful to have Britt. I am. You guys are just gonna be able to hear a bit of a little tidbit, a little snippet of our conversations, of our daily life conversations.
90% of them are about kids, and the other 10%
is about what you're about to hear. We're actually going to talk about General Conference, but a talk from General Conference. And I think it will be pretty great. I had this idea. If y'all listened to the last episode, I was talking about, how I think you should go through General Conference and just really trying to make that a point that if you're studying it and going through the most recent conference, like what it can do to your normal day, but then also the spirit. And after I did that episode, I came away and I had a really strong impression, like, where are you going? Like, we're still talking about this. Like, you need to keep talking about this. And so I was like, what? That I did. But then the more I thought about it, the more I pondered on it, I was like, oh, like we're going to go through the talks. Okay. I'm happy with that. So I don't know how that's going to look. I want to try to have this as an avenue to get more people back on. I missed having guests. It's hard.
It's hard lately.
It's really hard because most of my episodes I'm doing at like 6 a.m. in the morning. Yeah. Because it's the only time I can get now.
You're so dead tired at night too.
Yes. So
I'd be asleep about 10 minutes after this.
I know. Actually, that's the truth. As soon as we're finished with this, it's like, 7:50? Yeah. We going to bed.
I'll be out.
Yeah, but we get up early now.
It's true.
All right, people. Everyone, phones off. Okay. So before we do, let's talk about this munchie. I'm so excited.
I think you know more about it than I do.
Yes. Sorry. We're going to say it was his, but I think you like it.
Probably.
So we know nowadays protein infused food items are becoming a little obsessive.
And may I say, when they say protein infused, they say it's like 5 grams a serving, which is not protein infused.
Well, it just feels like everything has protein now, which
for sure.
I'm not mad, but I'm intrigued.
Oh, it's got 7. There you go.
Thank you, babe. For 3 cups? Is that a serving? Per serving. Whoa.
For 150 calories.
21 grams of protein?
In a serving?
No, 7 grams in a serving. And there's... No, my math isn't right.
Let's say.
This is the other part of the conversations we have is him fixing my math. Okay, there's 4 servings and a serving is 3 cups. So you got 7 grams. Sorry, y'all. This is protein popcorn, but it's from Khloe Kardashian. And I heard about it and someone was like, y'all, this is so good. And I love popcorn. Like I have it every night. Sure. I have the lesser evil Himalayan gold one. Yeah. Love that one. Much cheaper than this bag I'm holding right here.
It's true.
And much bigger.
It's true.
But we're about to test this out.
It.
I'm not, like I said, I'm usually eating popcorn just to eat popcorn. I'm not looking for protein.
It's true.
Because it's my snack at the end of the night. But I'm not mad at it. Okay, here, let's grab one and we can
see how it is.
I got the olive oil and sea salt because the other flavors were kettle corn and white
kettle
cheddar.
Corn would be good.
See, I'm not a kettle corn person.
It's okay. I feel like your other one's more flavorful.
I was just going to say that. I will take my lesser evil any day over this right now.
It's got less calories too.
And it does. You're right. And I still get 3 cups. Sorry, we should not be chewing into the monitor. Or the monitor of the microphone. Really?
It's okay. It's kind of dry.
Knowing me, I'll still eat it because I love popcorn. But I will not be buying it again.
Doesn't have any flavor.
And it's double the price.
Doesn't have any salt on it. Doesn't feel like.
Yeah, like I almost need to put some on it. Chloe, I can't
okay,
really. It's literally a said made with cloud dust. That's hilarious. But cloud with a KH.
It does kind of taste like it.
It's all right. Like I said, I probably will still eat it just because, again, it's popcorn. But if I'm going to choose, I'm grabbing my lesser evil. So, all right, there you go. If you try the other flavors, let us know. Okay, so I want to reiterate something or kind of go over something. In the last episode, I talked about the invitation or like how I prepare to go through all of General Conference. And I usually pick out an invitation. And I'd only just done this like April conference. Britton is still getting used to recording again. But basically, I was like, hey, you just grab an invite from whatever the prophet talks about. Well, this was such a unique conference. You couldn't just do that. Mm-hmm. I mean, at the time, our now President Oaks was not President Oaks. Sure. But I was like, I had just said, we're just going to go to his talk, which is great. And I was like, I know I can pull out an invite. And there were, but nothing was sticking like it did the first time. So I was like, what do I do? What do I do? Like, I just talked about this. Well, then, oh my gosh, it was when the first presidency was announced. And they had President Oaks, President Irene, and President Christopherson speak.
Officer of the law.
And it was like, what, a minute talk each? Mm-hmm. For some reason in that scope, I was like, I grabbed it. It was right there, the invite. So all this to go say, my theory might not be 100% of like listening just to like, oh, it's going to be the prophet's talk. No. I guess the principle's right. Look for the invitation, but you're going to know what the invitation is. Like the Spirit's going to tell you, because I thought, oh, I heard it when President Nelson was saying it in his talk. So it must be every prophet's talk, which I still do want to reiterate. Like, let's listen to what the prophet is saying and grab the greater invitation on that. But mine came from the first presidency being organized, that meeting. Yep. So the Spirit works in mysterious ways. That's all I just wanted to say. All right. We're getting in like 7 minutes later.
That's okay.
So we're going to go over Elder Stevenson's talk. Mm-hmm.
The first one at conference.
Seriously.
It's good.
What a way to like start off. So if you are unfamiliar, it is titled Blessed Are the Peacemakers. And like I said, what a great start to General Conference and everything that is going on in our world. But I just was like, that is the best way to go into it. So what we're going to do, we're going to just kind of work our way through it and pick up some things that we've gathered in our study of it. And hopefully you can pick up too some that you've been looking for.
Let's do it.
We're flying a little by the seat of our pants.
It's okay.
But because especially if we've got to work through all these talks, I was like, we got to get going.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Got to go. So right in the first like intro paragraph, Elder Stevenson calls out the distress a lot of us are feeling, particularly how our hearts are mourning. Mm-hmm. Now the conference was what, October 4th?
Yeah.
5th?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I mean, not to mention like everything that just happened in September.
Right.
And then all of like, I mean, just we've had multiple shootings. Mm-hmm. And I'm like going blank now. I think my mind is doing that thing where I block out everything. But you know what it is? Because I'm still feeling the emotion. Sure. So much was happening. So I was so grateful that he called it out right. Like, yes.
For sure.
We're all collectively feeling it. And I just was like, yes, that's what I needed to hear in this moment. But yeah, like, I mean, that was only a month, not even a month before conference that everything was happening. Yeah. So it was a lot. But in the talk, he has us go back in time to Capernaum when Jesus is giving the Sermon on the Mount. Now, I'm not really, I know. Like I said, I've been in the church my whole life, and yet I feel like I'm still learning things. Like,
there's a lot of history to it.
It just hits differently when you're older, too.
For sure.
That's the other thing. Like, I know I've been taught and talked about the Sermon on the Mount.
For sure.
Yet for some reason, it's hitting a lot different right now.
It's like the Lord knew our day.
Yes. Well, and we talked about that before, like not only what happened, everything leading up to conference in that month, there's something in the air.
It's changed a little bit.
Yeah. And I kept saying, like, is it a shift? Is that the right word?
It's like in Harry Potter, you watch like the second and the third one and you're like, this is good. But then it hits the fourth one and there's a shift in mood. And then you get to the fifth one. And it's just like, what in the world?
I'm so depressed.
I feel like we're in like the fifth or sixth one right now where it's just a weird shift.
Which means we still have
Everybody's
Deathly
angry
Hallows
at
coming.
each other. Moody. Yeah.
Britt and I just worked through the whole Harry Potter series, if you can't tell. That's a great activity to do.
It's true.
Through October.
It is fun.
It's like the perfect time. I mean, you could do it through November too, because it's kind of like fall.
Similes you can draw from that.
And the Chronicles of Narnia, especially the first one. Like literally the other movies are great, but the first one,
right? You
can't not. So anyway, sorry, we're back in Capernaum. But I was just so fascinated because, I mean, he goes through it and says, like, imagine you're this, you're going to this, and then about the things that he said. But I was like, hold up, Elder Stevenson, hold on. What was it like? And so it's so great that we have Britt, because one, not only is he like the best peacemaker I know, he is the world's best history buff, especially.
Depends on what it is.
No, you really are. And again, you're amazing to me because, again, I know nothing. So I'm like, wow, you are just so smart.
For sure.
So I wanted you to kind of help us or kind of explain what was going on, because he even says, and we'll go through it, like when Jesus is saying these things, why it might be hitting different. So impactful, I guess I should say right now. Right? Mm-hmm. So walk us through that in this flyer. Okay, sorry.
I mean, before I'd like to start way earlier than that, I've been kind of trying to study the Old Testament a little bit more. But once you understand the Old Testament, the New Testament makes a little more sense. Obviously, pretty much since the beginning of the world, the Jews have been persecuted in multitude of ways, as early back as the time after the flood with Noah. But when you bring it back to Moses and him bringing the Hebrews out of Egypt and kind of into the promised land, they wandered in the wilderness for 40 years. Didn't really listen to the Lord despite experiencing miracle after miracle. They eventually, with Joshua, landed in Jerusalem. And from that time on, were just persecuted under different rules and reigns. And eventually, about 60 years before Jesus was born, is when the Romans kind of took over all of that area, Middle East, Europe, all that. They pretty much controlled the world. And the Romans had certain outposts so they had certain leaders and certain outposts, and obviously Jerusalem was one. And that one was kind of a hard area for anybody who was ruling over Jerusalem, because Romans obviously believed in multiple gods and things like that. And the Jews believed in one God. So they kind of had a lot of quarreling and stuff. On top of that, in that time, you had different sects of Jews. So you had Pharisees, Sadducees, what are they called? Zealots. A lot of different people who believed similar things, but they're kind of in more political ranks than anything. You have the Pharisees, who believed in the very literal covenants that come from the law of Moses. So they were very physical with their covenants and things that they believed. Sadducees were more of just a political movement. They worked with the Romans to kind of keep peace between the Romans and the Jews. And then you had the Zealots, who just wanted nothing to do with the Jews, and they try to create war or just at least disturbances within Jerusalem and around that area as well.
The Zealots were against the Jews?
No, Zealots were against the Romans.
Oh, okay. Sorry. That's why I was like, what?
They just didn't like the Romans, so they would try to stir up a lot of things, which didn't help their cause. So at this time, the Romans were very oppressive towards the Jews. They stole money, tax collectors, who a lot of them were Jews. I mean, you have Matthew, obviously, but a lot of those tax collectors worked for the Romans, collecting money, creating a lot of bad circumstances for people. There's a lot of poverty and things like that. And a lot of people didn't really have opportunity. So a lot of those guys worked as fishermen, as farmers, as traders. That was pretty much the only job you could do. And half your money's going to the Roman government. Half of it's going to other people you have to pay for. If you're a fisherman, you're paying for a boat. If you're a farmer, you're paying for land. If you're a tradesman, you're paying a tax on that. I mean, there's a lot of things. A lot of people struggled in that time, and there's a lot of physical difficulties that those people went through. And not to mention the political things that they went through at that time too, and are oppressive of not even just Romans, but just throughout their history with the Egyptians and later the Ottomans and things like that. So
you are just like this well of knowledge. You listened so well in history class. But that was the thing. It wasn't even like in school. Like, this is what your family talked about growing back. The amount of historical movies that you guys have.
That's true.
And watch, which I'm so grateful, because I'm so grateful.
It's good to know history, because
it is. That's exactly why I wanted you to talk about this.
A little bit, yeah.
Because now, as Elder Stevenson's getting into this, like, he's trying to make the point, like, y'all, we talk about the Sermon on the Mount, but do you understand how insane this was for them to be hearing it? Because in the Sermon on the Mount, he talks about, like, they're not doing the law of Moses anymore.
Yep.
Like, we're done with that.
Yeah.
Are they done with it?
Yeah. So that's what Jesus tells them. I've come to bring my law, a new law, and it's more of a personal, in your heart type of law. The law of Moses was a very physical thing, and that all started back in when Moses led the children of Israel out of Egypt. They didn't listen very well, so the Lord gave them very strict laws and commandments that they must do to remember him, because that was the only way they did. But
it's like raising your children.
It's the lower law. It is.
Some kids are going to need strict.
And as you grow up, you give them more spiritual laws. You teach them, you give more room and kind of learn and grow. And that's what Jesus taught on the Sermon on the Mount and throughout his ministry as well.
Yeah. Well, that's something we've been told. What's the famous quote from Joseph Smith?
Teach them correct principles and they will govern themselves.
Yeah. Like, you might have to hold them in a little bit tighter, but then it's like, now go out. And that's exactly what happened here. Is there were too many people holding to that letter of the law, right? For
sure. Yeah, and that's especially the Pharisees. That's what they believed in. That's why they quarreled with Jesus a lot, because he was, first of all, seen, a lot of them wanted the Messiah to be a political leader, not a spiritual leader. But two, because he was a spiritual leader, he taught things that necessarily weren't part of the law of Moses, or they were too spiritually blind to see why he was teaching those things, or why they did the things they did with the law of Moses. It was to point them towards Christ. Now Christ is there. He's trying to point them towards himself through higher means.
I mean, talk about deep, right?
Sure.
Especially, we could say with what right now, there's so many people who are like, we want justice. We need to see physical things happening, when it's like, what if it's exactly the same?
For sure.
Where is the emotion? Where is your heart? Which I'm getting ahead of myself.
That's okay.
But that's exactly what we're trying to get to the point, because he's building this up to be like, we are not different. Like, we've seen this before.
For sure.
We all forgot, but it's like been here the whole time.
Right.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty. I love Jesus, like my shirt. I heart Jesus, because it's so nice. Like, he is the true definition of having both. You can have the justice, but like, there's so much more that comes still with through the heart, through the love, through the mercy. And I love it. So when right in the beginning, as he's talking about it, he's talking about this boy in this story, like he's just making up, but it was probably not even that far off, that when this person who's just come from the Sermon on the Mount is coming home, he says, as if he's like telling his family, that you share that he invited you to let your light shine before others, to seek righteousness even when persecuted. And blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. And you ask, can I truly become a peacemaker when the world is in commotion, when my heart is filled with fear, and when peace seems so far away? And then your father glances at your mother and answers gently, yes, we begin in the most basic place, in our hearts, then in our homes and families. And as we practice there, peacemaking can spread to our streets and villages. But I love that idea because of setting up what was going on. We have to imagine the people from exactly kind of what you just talked about. The people there, they're poor or just getting by, especially with the crazy taxes. They are feeling weighed down because of that and the strict religion that's kind of being brought about.
Right.
And then you've got Roman soldiers walking around. This is why The Chosen is so good. Like I can just picture that. I'm like, you feel it and see it.
For sure.
And you're just longing for change and for hope and probably feeling like God is far away. So then to go through the sermon, to go through it all and then just be told these things, like, I imagine they're like, there's no way.
Right.
So he's amazing to go there. So he even says, then we fast forward 2,000 years. No need to imagine because this is basically our reality. So have y'all read Matthew 5-7?
It's good.
It's basically, so it's the Sermon on the Mount.
For sure.
It consists of three full chapters. And as I read it through this morning, and I realized after I got done, it's basically just general conference.
Yeah.
Because there's so many like golden nuggets, but it sticks on one thing and then we jump to a new one and then we jump to another one. And there's these things that pop out at you.
Right.
And I'm just like, we need to become more familiar with that. And another cool activity, I did this morning. As soon as this table.
It's bad, yeah.
As soon as I got done reading Matthew 5-7, I went into our patriarchal blessings.
That's pretty cool.
And it was really cool because both you and I have a specific invitation from like the Sermon on the Mount. And I thought it was really interesting that we had the same one.
Right.
Which P.S., I was told by a patriarch, it was before we were married, when you do get married, you and your spouse's blessing basically combined.
For sure.
Like it's the same for each other. And that's so great because y'all, in my blessing, I get nothing about our kids. Do you understand the plague of fear that I held?
Look at you now.
For 26 years.
For sure.
No, okay, it wasn't 26. I got it when I was 13.
That's true.
So, but
13,
from the moment I got it to when we actually got pregnant, I was like, I'm going to be barren. Like, that's it. I guess I'm not having kids. But your blessing talks about our kids.
And I probably needed it because I was scared to have kids.
And now guess who's asking for more?
They're cute.
They are. We make cute kids. But I thought that part was so cool when he told me that. Sorry, I'm getting a side note. But that is a really cool thing. Sure. Like a patriarch himself, he's like, married people, like their blessings are for each other. It just like fills in the gaps. Right. So it was really cool. And I really recommend doing that. That could be your scripture study tomorrow, just to even go through this talk, is go through the Sermon on the Mount and then go to your patriarchal blessings. And I would be shocked if there's not something that you can like connect back to this, because it just connects you to like what, I guess I don't even know, but it feels like this is how like the whole gospel is built up, like on these moral laws. Yeah. Is that even the right way to say it? I don't know. But it was really fascinating. It was a great study with that. So go read it and then do your blessing. And now we're going to kind of work through the 3 places that he said to help us be the peacemakers. And we're going to share some experiences after. Both Britt and I have. I was like, let's just both share one where we can feel like we were able to kind of use this and where we saw the blessing kind of come from it. Like actually being like, oh yeah, it worked. Mine was a couple days ago. So I'm so grateful we have this talk. Okay. So he says first that we need to, before anything, if you're going to become a peacemaker, you have to start in your heart first. Okay. And you know me, looked up, let me grab this dictionary, the word heart. I'm sure there's probably way more meaning, like that it's actual, like we were talking about this, the heart in your body, like that being a main part that also transfers over to it meaning this deeper thing.
For sure.
Also, it started talking about the playing cards, like having a heart, but then how it's like where in the suit of cards marked with a symbol and a card game in which the object is either to avoid hearts when taking tricks or to take all the hearts. It's in a game called Hearts. I don't know. Again, must be deeper meaning, but sure. Anyone want to share that with me? Anyway, so the definition for heart is the vital center of one's being, emotions, and sensibilities, emotional constitution, disposition, or mood, capacity for concern or sympathy, and courage, fortitude. There's so many other things too, with great willingness or pleasure, with the deepest feeling or devotion.
That's pretty cool.
Right? So what I kind of thought more of that, I was like, okay, you're supposed to start in your heart. That dang popcorn. But it shouldn't be that hard. And yet it feels so hard because just like you were saying, the people back then, especially because I'm thinking of The Chosen, when you're like talking about like tax collectors, people who you're like, you're one of us, and yet you're being so awful
for sure
during this moment. How do you change your heart towards a person? Or like you have to start with yourself first, which means you have to look inward and be like,
it's hard.
Hey, like you have to change you first.
Yep. It's harder in my opinion.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I think it's easier to forgive others than to forgive yourself or to let yourself change.
Yeah, it is.
I think a lot of us do the opposite. We think we have to just forgive others all the time, which we do, but we forget to either forgive ourselves or change our heart first before we can reach outward.
Mm-hmm. And there's so much to that too, because let's say you do forgive someone, but you haven't really forgiven them in your heart. Like you might just be saying or doing the actions.
Yep.
That's also going to be an issue.
So those outward appearances, but we don't change the inward, which is the Lord. What the Lord wants is to change our hearts, not to look.
Which, going back to the Sermon on the Mount, the same scripture comes in like casting the mote or the beam out of your eye. And I think that's here too, is especially when we look at someone who's hurting us, who's betraying us, it's so much easier to be like, but that's like, look at them, look at what they're doing. And I'm supposed to be the one like, okay, but now look at my heart. It's really hard.
Right.
But that's clearly why it's the first thing. So there's a lot to that. And we could probably spend the rest of the podcast talking about how does one do that. But I guess the biggest thing is, and as you'll start to see, when we can get to that point of changing our heart, the rest does start to flow easier. If we're not clogging up the arteries, the emotional, the mental, the physical, like everything just flows. And I guess for me, it really is then taking a step back. I mean, the experience I'm going to share has to do with this part. Is it's taking a step back, looking at it from the other person's point of view, but loving them in spite of that thing.
For sure.
And realizing like, it's okay. It's okay if they never get there, but the biggest thing is that you get there. Right. And that's also in the Sermon on the Mount, judge not that you be not judged, right? If that's how you word it. There's so many things. But so the main thing I came away with, it talked about mood, emotions, and disposition. So what is your mood towards someone who does something different than you? Already you can think of someone who thinks or acts differently than you. And what is your overall mood? Right. Are you annoyed? Are you rolling your eyes? Are you like, oh, I just can't stand them? You might have to work on your heart. Next one. What happens to your emotions when someone you don't get along with prospers or fails? So in this case, if it's someone who you're like, I just can't stand you, and then something good happens to them, are you jealous? For sure. Or if they fail, are you like secretly like, yeah.
I'm pretty bad at that with sports teams.
You might have to check your heart. I'm doing this like you might be a redneck. You might have to check your heart. And last one, this is a big one. What is your disposition like online? Are you commenting with the same tones and inflection as you would in real life? Yep. It's weird. People are really good with confrontation
nowadays,
when you're
sure.
behind a computer screen.
Yep, and it's true.
You might need to check your heart.
Check your heart.
I'm going to say that for now. In a Jeff Foxworthy.
Check your heart.
You might need to check your heart. It's all fun and games, but it really does start with the heart.
For sure.
Should I share my, or should we share it at the end?
You can share.
I'll share mine now, because this is honestly what I think helped me so much. So if y'all haven't gathered, I'm pretty type A.
No.
I'm pretty controlling. Not to other people, but I'm very controlling with how I do things, with how I set things up, how I run things. And I like everything to be in its place, to be where it's supposed to be. And the other day, it was just a bad day. Boys are going crazy. I don't know what's happened. Something in the mood has changed. Our children have turned into crazy children. Yeah. So they're flying off the walls, and I'm trying to calm them down. And I'm also trying to be like, hey, I've got all these goals that I'm wanting us to do. And I'm really focused on them. And I'm like, we've got 2.5 months and we've got this really big goal for paying off our debt. And we're like so close. So I've got to really zone in on like what I can do for like side hustles and stuff. So I'm trying to do that. And I'm like, hey, let's go run out and do some deliveries. Side note, I do some deliveries for Walmart now. It's really great. We can talk about that later. It's a great side hustle. But anyway, I was like, let's go do this. I can bring the boys with me. We just go do pickups and it's great. Don't forget to tip your delivery driver. Yeah. Sorry. Again, we can talk about this later. But anyway, so all of this is happening. I'm just like, get out of the house. We need to get out of the house. And I'm stressed at you guys because you guys have already been crazy today. And I'm really trying to focus on the school. Let's just get in the car. And we get in the car. We're driving. And I notice the charger is gone. And don't worry, I have his permission to talk about this. The number one rule in marriage, you do not talk about an argument while you're in the middle of it. This is past. And then the second one is you talk about it with permission. But there's a point to this. The charger's not in the car. And I need the charger because whenever I do these deliveries, you have to like do it on your phone while you're going, and it drains the battery so bad. But I'm like, okay, wait, I need to, right as I'm like realizing, because we had left the house, right as I'm realizing the charger's not there, I get an offer, and you have to be really fast getting these offers. So I was like, I look at it and I'm like, I've got to accept this offer. This is a great offer. I can do it with keeping all the kids in the car. You just pick it up, go drop it off. And I accept it. And I read it, and the location was SP. Like that's what I started reading. And so I was like, oh, Spanish Fork. So I started heading there. And as I'm driving, I'm like, okay, I've got to time this right. And I'm probably going to have to go stop at a gas station. But then I start getting mad because I'm like, the charger's not in here because Britton took it. And so I'm feeling like all this festering towards you. And I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
But I'm aware of this. But anyway, we get where we're going, and I'm sitting there at the Walmart, and I'm like clicking, we're here. And it's like, you are not here. And I was like, yes, I am. I'm at Spanish Fork. And I was like, we've got to do this fast because I've got to go. My battery's at like 5%. And if you've already accepted the thing, blah, blah. So the stress is rising at this point. Finally, I look down. I've like toggled my location on and off. The stress is at an all-time peak. And all of a sudden I look down. Yes, the location started with an SP, but it was not SPA. It was SPR, as in Springville, which we live right down the road from. And I just drove away from it. And I was like, are you kidding me? So now I've peaked. Like volcano has blown. It was erupted. I'm done. I'm like, we've got to hurry, get to Springville. As I'm driving, they canceled the order on me. They're like, hey, you're taking too long. And I felt so defeated. I was just like, everything had hit. I was like, all these goals, these things, like nothing worked. And I was just so sad, so mad. And then we get home because we were working late that night. And so I was just like, you know what? As we do, I'm working it up in my head, like, how am I going to address this? And we need to talk about this and blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden I had the thought like, hey, you should go listen to that talk. You know, the talk that you're going to be doing a podcast about. And I was like, well, that seems logical because, again, I got to have everything in
For
order. So I turn on Elder Stevenson's talk and I'm listening to this part and he talks about the heart. And I remember pausing it. And I'm even the exact things I just told you guys. I'm working through it and I'm like, what does this mean for me right now? And I just kind of stop and I'm sitting there with it. And that's when my heart literally began to soften because I was like, am I really this mad at Britton for a charger? A charger. Like, that's it. And the more I was like dissecting it, I was like, this is not going to be good. He's going to walk in and I'm just going to be like guns a-blazing over a charger. And you had let me know of this a while ago that I tend to do this where I get worked up and I pick like one small thing and I'm like, this is why I'm so mad. It's because of this. And you're like, could it possibly be the other things surrounding it? Which I'm so grateful. That is what a good spouse does. You let them see, hey, you might be missing this blind spot. And that's exactly what this was. Yes, of course, when things aren't in places for a type A controlling anal person, it's going to bug.
For sure.
But it was not the end of the world. Yes, I missed this offer. Yes, that was missed money to go towards our goal. But it's not the end of the world. I've been able to get other offers since.
That's true.
But it was just a really good moment to be like, okay, like change the heart in this moment. Sure. And it's so crazy because as soon as I did that, as soon as I calmed down, I realized, you know what? It's been a really hard day with the boys. I just chilled. And I'm not kidding you. It was more like okay, I can bring it up to him, but I'm not going to be going in guns blazing. And it's just like hey, no big deal. And it wasn't. Like we talked about it after and I kind of worked through all that with you. Like, yeah, here's where I was. But I realized like I was the one bringing all that. Poor you. You're just like, I don't know what I just like, thank you for not letting me come into that. But it was really cool. That was something for me. I was like, oh, that's what that might be it.
And it's okay.
Thanks.
We all have little things like that, and it's okay.
Yeah. I'm just grateful because there's been plenty of moments where I have flown off the handle and it was like, oh my gosh, like chill. So I'm glad I was able to catch myself in that moment. That. But it was a better like, oh, okay, I'm seeing it full circle now. So
not just that, I think how many of us do the same thing. And that's, I think, why our world is the way it is we build up these scenarios in our head or we let these little things bother us, and it creates a lot of tension and contention in our lives and lives of others. And it's hard, that table. It's killing
It's
me.
Really true though. How many times that you've read a mean comment or something like they always say like what was going on in their life that day? Sure. Because I can tell you what, if they have 3 little boys under the age of 5, that's exactly what it is.
For sure. I can be a peacemaker when I'm driving the car because I am the same way.
Oh.
That's a whole other podcast or story. But
we have to work through that one.
I digress.
I digress. But yes, it's so I know we kind of just tore so much out of that, but it really did a number on me through that. So
thank you for being kind.
Oh yes, I know. I love it. So great segue because then now we're going to move into his next invitation, which is home and families. Mm-hmm. So I don't know about y'all, but when I heard this and I'm reading it now, I always thought like your family is at home.
It's true.
So when he says home and families, I was like, oh, are you reiterating it? Because you don't mean the physical home. Yes, you do, but not the like actual structure.
For sure.
I'm like, it's who lives in the home. So your immediate family.
Right.
And then when you're talking about families, plural, I'm like, extended family?
Yeah. Family, close friends, I'd say, yeah.
Yes. So, and to also jump through that, my aunt lives in Las Vegas and they just had like last week a state conference that's been planned for 4 or 5 months.
Right.
And President Christopherson was there because he had been scheduled
to go there
before the first presidency announcement or anything. So, and I guess he actually asked President Oaks, like, am I still okay to go to this? And President Oaks, like, send them my love. Of course, we want you there. But it was really cool. She told me that he was telling the congregation, the stake, that there are 2 things that if they just stick to this, like, they're good. And the first one was making and keeping their covenants.
Right.
And 2, uniting or bonding to the family on this side of the veil and the other side of the veil. And he made it a sense of like your extended family.
Yep.
Yes, you're immediate, but also you're extended.
For sure.
So I had that in the back of my head, and then reading this. I don't know if anyone knows Elder Stevenson, and you could just check that for me. But that's how I'm reading it. So that's kind of how I studied it.
That still, and that's good.
Well, and we've talked about this because I think we live in a world right now where we are constantly told and almost, what's the word? Praised.
Yep.
If someone is causing you a mental drain, cut them out.
Yeah.
Especially if they're your family. Like, there's not even a second guess.
Which is not good usually.
Right.
For the most part.
Now, we always have to say this, and I think people know this, but just in case.
But
yes. A physical, emotional abuser.
For sure.
That is your asterisk. Like, no, yes, not that. However, if there's just someone who's like, okay, you're just being a bum.
For sure.
We're just totally flippantly like, bye.
Yep. It's easy. Because it's the easier way.
But and look at what it's doing to us. We are becoming so lonely, so isolated.
For sure.
And we were just talking about this with your brother the other night. Satan wants you to be isolated, idle.
For sure.
Because if you are not around other people, other support, it's like a feeding frenzy for him and the minions.
Right.
They thrive on an idle brain, idle mind, and a idle person.
Right.
Especially one who's alone.
For sure.
And I don't know. I keep thinking, I'm like, there's a reason we are in our families for a reason, the good and the bad.
For sure.
And so Elder Stevenson actually goes into this story about this person. Mm-hmm. We know it's an adult. I don't think he told us if it was a man or a woman. We just know it's an adult. And this particular adult was causing children in this family, like, struggles is what it says. Children in this family were struggling in their relationship with an adult whose demeanor was often grumpy, condescending, and curt. Now, I want to point out, it does not say, it just says adult. Mm-hmm. For some reason, I read this as uncle or grandpa. I don't know. Sorry, is that rude? Like, it could be an aunt. It could be a grandma. It could be any of that. But it also says children in this family. It does not say their ages.
For sure.
I want to point this out because I think it could be very reasonable to say, is this like adult grandchildren?
For sure.
Are these adults?
Adult children, adult anything, for sure.
Or like adult children, but they're still dealing with an adult.
Right.
And I mean, if my friend were to come to me and say, hey, my uncle is just being so grumpy and he's so condescending and he's so curt. I guess I wouldn't say that word. I don't even know what that means. But he's so short and he's just like, ugh, I don't want to be around him. I know I'd be like, oh my gosh, then don't. Yeah, why would you? Don't bring that energy into your life. Yeah. I know I would do that. And Elder Stevenson talks about, even though the children were hurt and frustrated,
for sure,
they began to wonder if the only way forward was to mirror that same mean-spirited behavior. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like what you were just saying. It's then a never-ending cycle.
Yep.
Like, and yes, it might just be towards that person who's being mean, but what does it do in the long run?
For sure.
The kids were just watching a Dragon Tales episode today about this. It was the bully Spike who is picking on Cassie. Sure. Yes, we do watch Dragon Tales in this house. And Ketzel was even saying, like, think about Spike who just came to school. He's new. Yep. He doesn't know anyone. For sure. And why maybe he's being mean to you because that's his only way of knowing how to like protect himself. For sure. This has been another message from PBS Kids. But anyway, so the story goes on to say that the family spoke about the tension, the toll that it was taking, and then an idea emerged not just a solution, but an experiment. Instead of responding with silence or retaliation, the children would do something unexpected. They would respond with kindness.
I would agree with that.
I don't know where you're going to fit your experience in it. If you're, I don't know which one you're doing, but I don't know if it's around this, because it's making me think of one. But anyway, so they agreed to try it first at a time, and then they would regroup and reflect. But people were hesitant at first, which I imagine it's going to be hard. But what happened next was nothing short of remarkable. The cold exchanges began to thaw. Smiles replaced scowls. The adult, once distant and harsh, began to change. The children, empowered by their choice to lead with love, found joy in the transformation. The change was so profound that the planned follow-up meeting was never needed. Kindness had done its quiet work. That's just huge.
It is. I've noticed that, especially becoming a parent too. It's a lot easier to respond out of anger, frustration, but when you do respond with kindness, usually the children react a little bit better. I don't know, that's just always been my philosophy in life. When people are being mean to me, is just to be kind to them back. Because I say 99% of the time, there are very few people that are just mean. But most of the time it's because somebody's going through a hard time in their life, or they don't even realize they're doing what they're doing half the time. Or if they do, there's a reason behind it that we often don't see. And I feel like the Lord knows that, and he needs us to be kind and loving towards others. That doesn't mean being stepped over. When you're being a peacemaker, peace and maker is an active word. It's not a passive thing. When you're making something, you're making peace with something. So you're actively trying to find common ground and love towards others and towards yourself. But I think that when you do that, it kind of dissolves a lot of situations. At least I've seen in my life, when you respond with kindness to somebody who may be using you or mean or not doing what they're supposed to, it often does not only dissolve the situation, but it actually brings people closer together. I mean, obviously I won't go into much, but that my kind of experience is, I had some few years back doing a certain thing I do, but there was a time when a person got a position that I thought I rightfully deserved. And there's a lot of people in my life, rightfully earned, but there's a lot of people in my life telling me, oh, you deserve that. Oh, why does he deserve that? Why does he get that? But my response was, I don't want to sound self-righteous here, but
you weren't.
I did still love this person. I still wanted the best for this person. So my response was to love and to cheer on this person in that position at that time, for his benefit and for my benefit as well. Because just being angry and having malice towards him wasn't going to help anything. So I was trying to just love him and to help him the best that I could. I think it was 2 years later, almost, that person's family member came up to our family member and pretty much said, thank you for your son and being so kind to our son. You have no idea how much that meant to us and how much that means to him, because he doesn't feel like he has a lot of friends or feels like he doesn't fit in a lot. So you just never know what people are going through, and it's never right to just be mean to somebody, no matter what they deserve or don't deserve. They deserve love and kindness no matter what.
I can say, sadly, I was one of those people in the beginning, like, this is not fair. And I'm so grateful that you stuck to your guns on that you're like, you knew that. You knew you were being treated unfairly, right. But like you just said, you weren't going to. For sure. Treat that person differently because of a different decision that someone made. And when I would see you two together, you knew it. Like, you guys were so close. And we can't go into mention, but I love you even more. And even just hearing you talk about it, I'm like, yep. That's why you guys need to know, like, Britton is seriously one of the best peacemakers I know. And and again, there's certain aspects of it I could get better at. I got to get better at not being walked over. There's some people who walk over too much, and I got to get better at not being walked over, but still setting boundaries. And that's definitely a fine line.
But still, that doesn't mean you still can't love and be kind to everybody, because we all need it at some point in our lives. And so most of the time it comes through the not craziest of situations or people, but often in ways that you won't understand, but the Lord kind of gives you. So,
well, like you said, it was 2 years.
Yeah, for sure.
And you never budged,
right.
In the sense of you're like, I will still be kind.
Right.
I will still be loving.
Right.
So, oh, good. I love you. You're so good. And I learned so much from you, because like you were saying, you're like, I need to work on that. I need to be the one, like,
it's okay.
Calm it down. You don't have to be so crazy. You don't have to be so harsh. I get very protective.
You just love who you love, and you don't like.
I don't
your
like.
Loved ones.
Do you know what's so
over,
funny is the one that I have the hardest time with is in the Sermon on the Mount is the despitefully being used.
Right.
Do you know when I hear that, I'm like,
it's hard.
It is like one of those, I need to release the clench from my fists.
Right.
And that is the one I have got to like be so much better on. That's why
I'll mention this in this minute, but I found a cool pattern within the Sermon on the Mount that kind of goes along with this. So
we'll say it now.
So I don't want to go into your next thing without mentioning it, but
which is the
community.
Next one. Yes. Which it's kind of funny. It just flows into it.
It's a big, broader aspect, but I think once you've changed yourself and your families, the community benefits from that, which is why families are so important, which is why I think Satan attacks the individual and the family. So
I completely agree, because he didn't even say too much. It kind of just flew. I mean,
it's self-explanatory.
He does share stories. He does share a story about two men, Muslim and a Christian, who were able to come together, and that was really cool.
For sure.
But I agree. It almost feels like if you've got the heart down,
for sure,
and you've got your home, your broader family.
Not to mention a certain football game last week, but it was nice that I have one of my old coworkers when I was at BYU for a little bit, played for Utah, but he came and worked at BYU. We're still great friends. I had friends that went and played at Utah. Like it's a rivalry, but you still are human beings, and you still love each other, and you still have most things in common. In my opinion, most of us do have way more things in common than we don't, but we always look at the things that divide us, which is not a good way to live life, in my opinion.
No, definitely not.
But I was just going to mention, so in Matthew 5, obviously verse 9 is blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. But this is kind of sandwiched in between what Jesus was saying before and after. I kind of like this as the peacemaker sandwich, as I call it. Because starting in verse 3, he says, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of God. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, inherit the earth. Blessed are they who do hunger and thirst after righteousness. Blessed are the merciful. And what we've been talking about in verse 8 says, blessed are the pure in heart. But of all these verses, these are very common fruits of the Spirit, and these all begin within the heart. These are things that you must develop before you can become a peacemaker throughout your community and your families. When you develop a thirst and hunger after righteousness, when you're merciful, when you're pure in heart, when you're meek, when you help mourn with those that are mourning. And if you're poor in spirit, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're just doing bad, but poor in spirit means I have a desire to change and repent. These are all fruits of the Spirit that change your heart and change yourself first. And then it says, blessed are the peacemakers. So once you're changed your heart, you can then reach out, because after, starting in verse 10, it says, blessed are those that are persecuted for righteousness' sake. Blessed are those when men shall revile against you, persecute you, and shall say all manners of evil against you falsely for thy sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for your reward is in heaven. Ye are the salt of the world, or the salt of the earth. Ye are the light of the world. And don't hide your candle under a bushel. So once we've changed our heart, we can change ourselves. We can become peacemakers. And then it talks about more of those, the community, the family, things like that. Those who revile against us, those who hate us, things like that. Those external factors won't change what we believe in our heart, because we are meek, we are lowly in heart, and we want to help and bless others despite those things. And not only does it not say to make peace with people like this, but it also says not to hide those things that we have in our heart, those fruits of the Spirit. It tells us to be a light to the world, the salt of the earth, to be an example to others. So to be an example of how to be a peacemaker, and that's what will change other people's hearts as well. And that's what gets that cycle going into becoming one. So,
oh my gosh. Like, I'm seriously just sitting here. I'm like, I never even pulled that out. And you basically, that's incredible. You were so smart. Like, to pull that out.
I learned from you.
No, that was so good. I didn't even think of that. And that's basically exactly what he just laid out, like you said. Like, it's right there. And he's like, okay. He just went in order of basically what his whole talk is.
For sure.
Man.
For the Lord looketh on the heart.
It's so big.
So
check your heart.
Check your heart.
That's
gonna be the name of your episode.
It should be.
Did you check your heart today?
Might need to check your heart. Wow. This is so great. Like,
love too. I mean, later in the chapter, it goes through essentially the 10 commandments.
Yeah.
How can we become meek? How can we become humble? Thirst after righteousness is by living the commandments, and today is by keeping our covenants. If you haven't made covenants, it's by just being a good person and loving others. It's just doing simple things. And then he gives them a new charge. We talked about the Pharisees, the Sadducees before, believing in the law of Moses, a very literal, physical way to look towards Christ, which is not bad. But once we want to change our heart, we got to do the spiritual work. And he talks about turning the other cheek, which used to not be that way. In the law of Moses, when somebody did something, you would either almost essentially kill them, or they'd be banished or kicked out. But now he's saying, no, when somebody does something, turn the other cheek, love them anyway, pray for them. If somebody borrows something, let them have it.
Yeah.
Again, these are all things not to be walked over, but these are things that lead us closer to Christ once we do so. These are all qualities that Christ has.
I wouldn't be shocked. And that's kind of what we were saying is, how do you know what is the balance? How do you know when it's like, okay, I'm just becoming so passive in this? That's where, if your heart is in the right place, the Spirit is going to let you know.
Yep, exactly.
I wouldn't be surprised if 9 out of 10 times it's going to soften your heart to do those exact things.
For sure.
To be like, oh yeah, I guess this person, if you take back and look at this, it could be looked at as like, they might be using me in a way that other people would be like, that is too much. But if your heart is checked, if you are one with the Spirit, I feel like you're like, I'm good.
You have the, for sure. You have the desire to bless others.
I love them.
Yeah.
And I'm okay.
For sure.
Man, that's the ultimate goal.
This is a stupid example, but Briggs has been trying to stand up lately. How many times does he try to stand up and he falls hard? He hits his bum really hard. He hits, but what does he do? He laughs and he tries to get back up. And as parents, we're not shunning him for falling down every time. We're cheering him on when he gets back up and he tries and he's laughing and he's doing his best. And I think we have to do that with other people as well. As everybody hits it pretty hard, when we just have to laugh with them and to cheer them on to stand back up. And eventually they can start crawling and walking and get to where they need to be.
Well, and I think that's also a great way to look at it, like with Heavenly Father. He's looking at us and like, it's hard. You got to try it again.
18-month-old.
It's okay.
We're his spiritual 18-month-olds pretty much.
He's like, get back up. It's okay. We can try this again.
For sure.
That's the other thing. We have such a loving Father in heaven, loving Savior, that I'm like, I know. Yeah. They look at us. This is why having kids is so great, because you get to understand that level of like,
glimpse, for sure.
Yeah. Even though these kids can be crazy, you just love them so much through it. And I think that's exactly what they're doing is you hit it right on the
Cheer
head.
them on way more when they do success than when they do wrong. You remember all the success and none of the wrong.
Yes.
I know the Lord does the same thing when we try to change and we repent. He says it. He remembers it no more.
Right.
He just remembers the good we do.
Yeah. Wow. This was so good. Oh,
thank you.
I'm so happy you guys got to be here for this.
It's good.
I love this
good.
that we get to do. So hopefully, I'm sure we'll get you back on for some more because, if anything, like this is a great date
Probably
night.
keep going, but I know both of us will be out in about 15 minutes. So
yeah,
it's
y'all,
almost what, 9
we need to
o'clock?
cut it.
Yeah.
It's close. Britt has to get out. Let's see,
in 6.5 hours.
Yeah,
it's only 3 days a week, luckily. But
yeah, we're doing it. We're almost
so crazy. Still go to the gym, but it's my alone time.
Thank you.
Sorry. I try to give you more.
No, it's good. All right. Well, we're going to seal off with the last part in Elder Stevenson's talk, but definitely go through and go listen to it.
That's great.
Go through some of the study points that we talked about and just pray. Pray for your heart.
For sure.
We're praying for ours. We'll pray for yours. We all do. We all need it.
For sure.
And that's why I'm so grateful we have a Savior who can help us through that, the changing of our actual heart, and also a Father in heaven who as well can do that. But I felt the Spirit so strongly going through this, and even just sitting here talking about it. I'm like, this is truly a game changer.
For sure.
If we can get this one figured out, everything else is going to flow. That's why
President Nelson was so adamant about it this past two years almost. So
yeah. I didn't even think of that. And like I said, they knew. They're like, Elder Stevenson, you're starting this one off, buddy. You got to get us
do it.
with the first hit. So, well, we hope you have a great day. Here's the rest of that talk, and we'll talk to you next time.
In summary, I offer an invitation. Peacemaking demands action. What might that be for each of us starting tomorrow? Would you consider a 1-week, 3-step peacemaker plan? 1, a contention-free home zone. When contention starts, pause and reboot with kind words and deeds. 2, digital bridge building. Before posting, replying, or commenting online, ask, will this build a bridge? If not, stop. Do not send. Instead, share goodness. Publish peace in the place of hate. Number 3, repair and reunite. Each family member could seek out a strained relationship in order to apologize, minister, repair and reunite.